How's everybody doing? It's Hank back with another Two Birds and a Third short discussion. Again, I think this is for the fifth episode of Champs vs. Pros from MTV's spin-off show from the Challenge. From what I remember, this episode leaves off, I guess, CM Punk, he got eliminated. And I forgot who from the other team got... CM Punk got eliminated and Jordan got eliminated, excuse me. And it basically starts out with Louis and Gus and Lindsay Jacobellis and Darrell and Camilla practicing this skiing and snowboarding simulation thing. It's a very... I guess it's Louis-centered episode. I think Louis is the snowboarder who's really short, who ends up getting his hair braided like Willie Nelson. But there really isn't much in there that's at all important. The challenge ends up being over the line. And I think that's the big part that you want to discuss when it comes to this episode. Now, Over the Line was a mission back in the Duel, back in 2006, where it was an individual thing where every challenger had, or they were strapped to each other in this kind of apparatus thing where if one person pulls, or a heavy person pulls, people start going that direction. They started doing like this team-up thing where everyone started getting together from a certain side just so that they could finish. And apparently, it felt like hours. Surprise, surprise, the person who won that mission was the Big Easy because he was the biggest. Now, the big twist for this mission or challenge or whatever you're going to call it is that there are going to be male and female co-captains. So there's going to be two captains, a male and a female captain for both teams. The other thing is that there's going to be an elimination for both genders. So, immediately for the professionals, Louis decides to be the team captain because he hasn't been the team captain yet. And Lolo Jones decides to be the team captain too because, again, she hasn't been a captain yet and she's been in the last two eliminations for the women. And she starts to kind of make peace with Lindsay Jacobellis. Where, she's like, I wish we hadn't become enemies, my enthusiasm, takes control of me in this game, and I really want to, get a lot of money for my foundation, which, by the way, I started a drinking game. It's called the Lolo Jones Foundation Drinking Game. Take a drink every time Lolo Jones says or refers to her foundation in a whining sense. You'll get really drunk really quick every episode, especially for the female elimination episodes. But, yeah, so it's easy for the professionals to choose because those are the two who haven't been team captains. Cameron Wembley, someone who would be a good team captain for this, decides, you know what, Louis, you can have it. Because I think he knows that at the end of the day, they're not going to pick him to go in, especially if it's like, because he's intimidating. He's big and intimidating. But for the champs, a little bit tougher. Both CT and Wes volunteer to be possible captains. Just because, A, I don't think they've been captains yet, and B, because they know their asses are on the chopping block if they happen to, have their team win and not be the team captain, because they know that they would be the player to be forced in. And the same thing with Camilla and Cara Maria, and eventually CT and Cara Maria end up being the team captains for this. Now this thing works in two heats, right? It's a female heat and a male heat. So it's Lolo Jones, Luis, and Lindsay Jacobellis versus Ashley M, Camilla, and Cara Maria. And this is just a stacked team of professional women, and they just steamroll the champions girls. I mean, this is probably, when it comes down to it, the most stacked professional women on any team, because when it comes down to it, usually it comes down to the women. And even Tia was good, and then what's her name? who got eliminated in the first episode, Candace Wiggins, she seemed like a tough girl to play. So it's a steamrolling, right? And I think they win in something around 5 minutes. What felt like 5 minutes due to the editing. And then the next heat is between Wes, CT, and Darrell, and then Cameron Wembley, Louis, and Gus. And besides Cameron Wembley, Louis and Gus, they have their strengths. I think Gus is a lot stronger than Louis, but Louis's got the agility. But at the end of the day, CT is just a bull. And they don't actually end up getting to the outside or the exterior to win the mission. It comes down to the fact that the champs are further away, or closer to the end line, the out of bounds line, for where they have to put their footballs and win. But at a certain point in time, Cameron Wembley is like pushing. He's pushing. He's pushing. But he's not able to win it. And then at the very end, it's a tie. And this time, the tie doesn't come down to whoever you pick to go in. It's the team captains go up against each other. So it's CT and Carmaria against Louis and Lolo Jones. And while Lolo Jones and Louis are good athletes, CT's just a bull. And him and Carmaria, they find their way, they neck their way to the very end. And the champs win that one. So both CT and Carmaria gained $5,000 to their charity. So, like most times for the final elimination, it doesn't come down to a deliberation. It comes down to who do you want? Who do you want to put in? And Carmaria, she's kind of like, I don't know who I'm going to put in to go up against Lolo Jones. It's either her friend, Camilla, or Ashley, who's been in the last 2 eliminations. So, at the end of the day, it ends up being Ashley, and Ashley flips out. She just runs straight to the van and starts crying, and people start to feel bad for her, especially the professionals, because they're like, damn, she's been in all of these eliminations, and the other 2, they didn't go to a single one, which is a fair point, but I think it speaks to the fact that these guys still don't understand how the game is played. There's no fairness in this game. You can get screwed over at a whim right there. And I'm guessing that both the champs and the pros are not going to break up into individuals. At the end of the day, I can see where Carmaria is thinking. I would rather run a final. Yes, it's true that Ashley M beat Camilla in Invasion of the Challenge Champs. But that was because there were a lot of pairing portions of that final mission. And I guess at the end of the day, you got to think, well, this girl has got to put up or shut up, And I think Ashley M is a good competitor. I just think that she's like a princess. She's like a special snowflake that melts really easily. At the end of the day, CT can't choose either, so Wes decides to go in for him, because Wes knows that CT is good friends with Wes, and he's also good friends with Darrell, and I don't think that he would put Darrell in, because I think Wes knows that Darrell is pound for pound a better competitor than Wes is in the end. So Wes decides to go into his 3rd elimination, and the elimination ends up being going the distance, which going the distance, it's been in a lot of different challenges. It's basically this jungle gym with a rope, and you're supposed to thread the rope, and then, you go to the partners, and then the partner is supposed to undo your rope, and you're supposed to undo your partner's rope. But except for this one, the rope is already done, and the rope is kind of like smaller, and it's closer to the ground. And to make a long story short, Wes beats Louis, and it's a tough matchup. And then Lolo Jones beats Ashley M, and Ashley does a good job herself, but she just loses. And she flips out. She goes straight to the van. They bring them back together, and then Louis gets sent home with $1,000 to his charity, and of course Lolo Jones, she feels bad, so she decides to give $5,000 to Ashley M's foundation. Take a shot for that. So she puts it in Ashley M's. I think it's something to do with alcohol abuse, going hand in hand with Lolo's Hurdles for Hope. So at the end of the day, these are the final teams. It's going to be Gus, Cameron Wembley, Lindsay Jacobellis, Lolo, and Luis versus CT, Darrell, Wes, Cara Maria, and Camilla in what feels like is going to be the most stacked final I've ever seen. And I guess my final thoughts for this episode was that one day Ashley M is just going to break, right? I have a feeling that Ashley M is very unstable. And I don't say that in a way, because I've been to like the Reddit pages and a lot of people are like, well, she seems like a bad person. There are three different types of Ashley. You've got the regular Ashley, you got angry Ashley and unstable Ashley, and then you got Smashly. And what we got here is angry Ashley. And spoiler alert, one of these challenges, she's just going to dip out. Okay? Because I've noticed that if at any time she feels like she's not in control of certain situations, she's just going to peace out. So that's all I have. That was the 5th episode of Champs vs. Pros, the mini-series. Of course, they've come out with the new challenge preview trailer for the 30th edition of the challenge, the Dirty 30 XXX. So we'll see how that is, and I'll be back within the week with more content. Peace.